So everyone has added box collider. Instead of box collider, if you add a capsule collider, that will fit it better. Instead of this, if I add capsule collider, this is the better fitting. If you see the green line, same for the player also. Instead of box collider, we should add capsule collider. Due to conflicting component, what is conflicting? Okay,
Where I guess you have to add capsule collider 2D.
2D, sir.
It should be calculated to be. Okay, and then I will. I think this is fine. Some portion is out, but this is fine because mostly the lower part touches. So this will be fine. So for all the cactus, where are the cactus? So for all the cactus, I should add instead of box collider, I should add capsule collider, and that should be 2D. Capsule collider 2D. Okay, you guys can make these changes. After that, the game will be smooth. One more thing, in the player, we have the script, which is player script. So this is my player script, and in place of input, I have written input.getKeyDown space key. So instead of that, I will take the mouse button input, mouse left key. So how to do that? So input.get mouse button down. So this is the code to get the mouse input, and it takes an. So this is the function on input, which is get mouse button down, and it takes one input, which is a number 0 for left button click, 1 for right button click, and 2 for mouse scroll button click. So we'll use 0. 0 will be for mouse left button click. So with that, I'll open Unity.
Sir, I couldn't understand why we have to write that number.
Why do you need to add numbers? Can you repeat your question?
Sir, there you had written get mouse button down bracket 0. So why should we write that number there? What is its significance?
Okay. Did you see the function description? So this is the function get mouse button down, and this function takes an input, which is which button. Now, if you see your mouse doesn't have only one button. You know that mouse has two buttons. Mostly use two buttons: left button, right click, left click. So you need to tell the computer which click you are referring here. Is it first left click? Is it right click? And there is one more click which we almost never use, which is called bar click. So 0 is to take the left mouse click button input. 1 if you want to use right click as input. Okay, now if I play the game, I will see you. If I play the game, press this mouse button, then also it will jump. Okay, so this is what we had done earlier. I just changed the mouse input. And in our game clouds, where are the clouds? Where the clouds are not coming. When I'll play the game, then the clouds will come. So about the cactus, we have repeated the clouds, we have repeated the ground, but cactus are not. I mean, cactus are not coming continuously. If I play the game after these three cactuses or four, the cactus will not come. I need to fix the box collider. I'll fix all of them. Okay, box collider, box collider, box collider. So on all of them, I'll remove it. I have selected all, remove all, then capsule collider 2D. Okay, I hope the size should be fine. Okay, after this, you can see that there are no cactus. So can you guys suggest what to do, or what do you think? How to add cactuses continuously?
Sir, we can do what we did with the ground.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so one option is
Sir,
add some.
Sir, is there any thing by which if that crosses some point, then it will come to some other point? Means it should not come to its starting position. It should come to some other point.
Okay, so kind of you are suggesting that like the cloud we added, like if the cloud cross some position, then it should come back to the some position, is not at the start position, but somewhere near the start position.
Yes, sir.
Is it correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So instead of a start position, maybe you want to randomize. You want to have some random initial position.
Yes, sir. Outside the camera area.
So if this cloud crosses the entire camera view, then it should come back to the initial position, but not exactly same, but somewhere near the starting position. So this is one suggestion, and yes, we can do that with some little modification in the cloud code. We can do that. Second suggestion was like we did for the this thing ground. So if ground has moved its length, then we repeat it. If you play the real game, there is lots of things happen that you can notice. So if you notice the cactus, there's a small cactus, there's a large cactus, again a small cactus, large, small, 2, this is 3, small 2, large 1, small 2, large 1, large 1, small 3, small 3 cactus, large 2 cactus. First time large 2 cactus came. This is the second time large 2 cactus came. So if you can see that initially only single cactus is coming. Okay, this also came 3 cactus, but the size was small. Size is small. Either single cactus is coming or size is small. So far, single. This is size is small. Okay, so for the first time, the largest one came. 3 larger one came when I was at a score of 201. Okay, so initially they sent the small ones, right? So we had 2 cactuses. One was small set and one was large set. This is larger set. This is small set. I started with the small set ones, and these are small cactuses. And we have the set of larger ones also, which I have not broken down yet. And if you see that pattern is not exactly same. The distance between each cactus, the distance between the cactus also will not be same. See the notice the initial distance. So this is this much far, and first time it sent this. So if you see that, like there is no pattern. It is like every game it will be different. every game it will be different. I'll start again and again. If you see the patterns, every time the distance will differ. Every time the cactus which come will differ. So if we do what we are thinking of doing is, which is repeating like cloud or maybe repeating like sound, what will happen? Same pattern will come always. Same set of cactus will come always. There will be no random cactus or some randomization will not be there. So how to get that randomization? And our second question is, how do we ensure that every time the cactus will come continuously? So in most of the cases, instead of what we did for the cloud or what we did for the ground, we don't do that. What we use is, what we do is we create the cactus. How do we create the cactus? So during the playtime, we create new
Yeah, I sent
cactuses.
the link. Sir, I sent the photos of the
I
code.
will check. Yeah, I will check that. Okay. So what we do is we create the cactus during the game time. When during the play time, we create the cactus. So how do we do that? So for that, what I will do is, okay, this small cactus, small cactus, small cactus. Okay, this is single small cactus. So what I'll do, so I will rename it and I will call it single small cactus. Okay, name is single small cactus. Similarly, I will rename others. To a small cactus. Small spelling also wrong. Third one, this is again single, so I will delete this. This is three small cactus. Okay, so I renamed them. Okay, so I have these three cactuses. Now what I will do is I will make prefab out of them. So how to make prefab? Just drag and drop them. But I'll create a folder also for the prefabs, and then I'll put all of them in that prefabs. And in this prefab, I will select all, or you can do one by one also. Drag and drop. We are not going. Okay, I will do one by one. Second and third. Okay, so I have created prefabs out of them. Now what I'll do is I'll delete them from the scene. And likewise, likewise we created street lights. We'll use the same concept to create cactus in the scene. Now in the street light, like we created the street light, we created among maybe around 50 or hundreds of street light, or maybe when we were pressing the C button, then we were creating the street light, or we use the while loop to create the street lights. In this case, or in any such cases, we should not create, like, I mean, how many cactus should I create? Can you, like, anyone of you can guess how many cactuses should I create? 10, 5, 3, 2, 1, 0, 100, 1000. How many cactus should I create? Anyone, any guesses? Any number? So in this game, how many, or in this game which I am playing, what do you think? How many cactus are already there? Or how many cactus are there? Okay, so answer is we don't create the cactus, like we don't fix the number of cactus, or we don't create the cactus uh, at the start of the game. While playing the game, or during the game, we keep on creating the cactus based on how far the player is going. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'll create a script. I'll create an empty game object. I'll call it cactus SCAWN. Cactus creator, you can say, or cactus spawn manager. I will give some fancy name to it. You can call it cactus creator also if you want to. And I will create a script.
So means we will use the instantiate here.
Correct. We'll use instantiate. So instantiate is used to create a game object during gameplay time. So using that, we will create the cactus while playing the game, during the game. Cactus creator. Okay, so I've created a script with the name cactus creator. Now the question is, when shall I create? I'll write a function. I'll write a function void create cactus. Now, how do we create a cactus? Using instantiate. And instantiate, we pass game object that we want to create, and we pass which position and what is the rotation. So I'll give the same position as the creator position. This is my creator, and I will keep the creator at maybe this position. So the position is, so Z, you guys should keep it always 0, because there is no meaning of Z in 2D games. Y is 0.2. Let's keep it 0.25. We can adjust it later. And X, I'll keep 15. So this is the position where the cactus spawn manager of this game object is. Let's add a bit more. And we'll create the cactus at this position only. All the cactus will be created at this position. So for position, I will use transform.position, and rotation will be same, transform.rotation. Okay, so what game object we should create? So we should create cactus. So that will take as public game object cactus. Okay, so I've created a function. In that function, I've written instantiate function, which takes a game object, which is cactus prefab. We will set its value from the editor. And where do we want to create it? We want to create at this position and same rotation, which is 0, 0, 0. So at this position, cactus will be created. And this function, when we call this function, this will create a new cactus. And on all the cactus, I think, where are the cactus? So this is the cactus. Cactus has move left script with some speed. Okay, this cactus has move left script. This cactus also has move left script. So one important thing is, on all the cactus, we want to have this script also, which is self-destroy. So what this script does, after some distance, if it goes beyond -15, it destroys this object. So we want this script on all of them. So I'll add it, which I should have done it earlier only, but I missed it. So I'll do that now. I will apply self-destroy script on all the cactus so that after they have passed the camera view, they should be destroyed. So self-destroy script I applied to all of them. Okay. So they will be created, and after they have passed this camera view, they should be destroyed. So this is good. Now, when shall we call this function create cactus? When this should be called? So first thing is it should be called continuously. Like till the game is not over, this should be called till the game is not over. So we want, maybe I should create it after every 1 second. Yeah, I should create it every 1 second. We will see if this works. After every 1 second, I'll create it. So how to do that? How to create a cactus, one cactus every second? So for that, Unity has a special function which is called Invoke Repeating. So what this special function does is it takes a method name or function name and it calls that function after every this much of whatever time you give. Repeat rate and float time. Invokes in seconds, sorry. Invokes, am I missing something? So this function, it calls a function at an interval of some time and whatever time you give. So in this function, I'll give the function name. Now what this function will do, this function invoke repeating will call this function and we can give the time interval after what time it should call. Invokes the method in times of second, then repeatedly every repeat second. Five seconds, and it should be called every 2 seconds. So this is a special function in Unity. As the name suggests, invoke repeating. So it invokes a function or it calls a function. And so there are two versions of it. First we'll talk about the first version and then we'll come to this version. Let's talk about this. So this is a invoke function, and this function, what it does, it calls a function. Invoke means invoking is similar to call. So it calls a function. You just give the function name or method name. This is called functions. Functions are also called method. So in this method, you provide the function name and the time. This time is for after how many seconds this function should be called. So first we'll see this function, which is easier one. So we need to provide the function name, which is create cactus, and after how many seconds it should be called. So it should be called after 5 seconds. So after 5 seconds, this invoke will call this function, and what it does, it will create a cactus for me, whatever cactus we have assigned. So I've saved this thing. I will assign it to cactus creator. Okay, why cactus creator is not showing this public game object? Something is wrong. Do we have two scripts with the same name? No.
You should save it.
Sorry? I have made it public.
You should save it.
I think I have saved it already. I saved it. This is public variable, Cactus creator. What is happening? I'll remove and again Cactus creator. I'll create another function just to check whether another variable float. Call it
Sir, I have joined now. Sir, what you are teaching?
Okay, I just saved. I created another public variable, and this is also not coming. Something okay. So okay, something is wrong here. In the down, I can see some error. The error is Cactus is missing this thing. Line number 19. Okay, so this was wrong. The script was wrong. I was missing the semicolon. Now it is fixed. This should work. Okay, now it has came. So earlier I missed the semicolon here, and because of that the script was not working. And in this, I have lots of prefabs. I will assign the first prefab. Now what will happen is when the game will run, I have this special function which is invoke. Invoke, what it does, it calls a function after whatever time I have, whatever seconds I have given. So after 5 seconds, it will call this function, create cactus. And so one cactus should be created after 5 seconds. So when we start the game, this function will be called, and this function will invoke this function or call this function after 5 seconds. So after 5 seconds, a cactus should be created. So we'll see that.
Sir. Sir, in it you have given that invoke repeating. Sir, so what is the difference between it invoke repeating and invoke?
I'm coming to that. So first I'm covering invoke, and after that we'll come to invoke repeating.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, yes. I have joined now. Sir, what you are teaching?
Wait for a second. Like whatever I'm teaching, if you're doing that, wait for some time. Let me complete first, then you can tell. Okay. So at this position, after 5 seconds, cactus should be spawned, or cactus should come. This cactus, which is single small cactus. So almost 5 seconds is done. So you can see that one cactus spawned. I didn't notice why my. Okay, so since I instead of box collider, I have added capsule collider, so it is not, my dragon is not able to walk properly. It's slided.
So for that you can freeze its Z position.
Yes. So for that, in the rigid body 2D, in the constraints, I can freeze its rotation. So now it will not roll down. It will always be straight. Okay. So now you can see that with this creator or with the invoke function, we are able to invoke a method, and it is invoked after 5 seconds, and this cactus came. But what we want is, we want the cactus should come continuously. After every second it should come. So to repeat something, we use invoke repeating. This invoke, what it does, it calls a function after 5 seconds, and that's it. It calls only once. And what invoke repeating does is, invoke repeating will keep on repeating, or it will keep on calling the same function after the repeat interval. So this is the repeat rate or repeat interval that I've given. So I've given 2 seconds. So after every 2 seconds,
start and update method.
Sorry?
So it's just like the start and update method.
Yes, it is just like start and update. Yeah, correct. So invoke is kind of start method, which is called only once, and update method is called, but the only difference is update method is called every few milliseconds. That depends on your frame rate or how fast your computer is. But in case of invoke repeating, you can set after what time it should be called. But in update method is called by Unity after few milliseconds. But this method is like update method. We can decide after what time it should be called. So hold on.
Sir, the cactus will be random. Sir, it's So position will be random or it will be by yourself. You will set the position, or so it will be random.
Position is going to be whatever position I set. The position I have set is transform.position. So this script is attached to this creator, and this creator I have set it here. So
Sir,
whatever position of this
sir, can you repeat again? What did you do, sir? I got disconnected.
okay, I'm doing that. So first in this method, invoke repeating method, it is similar to update method, but we can decide when it after what interval it should be called. So it takes three inputs. First is function name, the function that you want to call, and after what time it should start invoking. Start in 5 seconds and repeat rate. Repeat rate is 2 seconds in this case. So this is the invoke repeating, which takes some input, which is the function name, which it will be calling. After 5 seconds, it will start, and at the interval of 2 seconds, it will keep on calling this function. And the second question was where it will create. So it will create this cactus prefab, which we have assigned single small cactus. And what position? Transform.position. So this position, this transform.position, and same rotation transform.rotation. So this transform.rotation, this object transform.rotation, which is 0, 0, 0. So now if we run this, so it will start after 5 seconds, it will start creating. So first it has created. Now if you see that, like, it created the second also. So a bit better this time. So it has created one. So
So, but it would
that,
create the cactus of one type only.
Yeah, but it is creating a cactus of one type. But now you can see that it is continuously creating the cactus. And because of our self-destroy script, all the cactus are getting destroyed. In the hierarchy view, also, you can see that.
Create a cactus of other type in
We'll come to that. We'll come to that. So you can see in the this hierarchy scene also, new cactus are getting created and they are getting destroyed also. So at max we have 3 at a time. Okay. So here you can see that, and these will be again destroyed. No, they will not be destroyed because they are in the scene. Once they have crossed some limit, then they get out of. So we can see that now we have a continuous cactuses coming. So same thing is used in most of the game. They are called enemy spawner or whatever you can say, or spawn manager, enemy spawn manager. And with some code like this, we continuously create the enemy in the game. And then in the enemy we set all the properties. So like this cactus prefab, we just create it. We create the cactus, and this cactus know how to behave. So this cactus know it has to move left. It has a move left script, so it move left. It has a capsule collider, and it has a self destroy. So everything is with this cactus. We just have to create it. Similarly, we create lots of enemies, and then we just spawn them in the game, and they know how to behave in the game. So some script similar to this is used in most of the games. Okay, now the next question was, this creates only one type of cactus. How to create all type of cactus? Okay, any more question or only this question? This was the question.
Sir, only this question.
Okay, so we'll answer this question. What you guys have to do is, first of all, complete till this part. So what I have done, I will repeat. So first of all, I removed box colliders from player and cactus. I renamed all the cactus. and I have attached capsule collider, and also I have attached self-destroy script to all the cactus. And after that, I created a prefab and dragged and dropped them. This part we have covered. You guys must have done so many times how to create prefabs. Just drag and drop them to the prefabs folder. So I renamed and give some meaningful name to them. Three small cactus, single small cactus, two small cactus. If you are using large cactus, you can give name single large cactus. After that, after creating the prefabs, I deleted all the cactus from the scene, and then I created a cactus spawn manager. And I created a script. Also, I moved the spawn manager somewhere out of the camera in the right side of the camera. My position is 15, 25 and all. Maybe I'll change it later. And I have created a script, and in this script, I just talk about two special functions. One is invoke, which invokes a
Can
function.
you send this in the...
Yes, I'll do that. So I have introduced two new functions. One is invoke function, which takes a function name which it will call after this many seconds. And there's another special function which is invoke repeating, and this keeps on calling a function at this rate, and it starts calling from this many seconds. And in this code, in this script, there was no use of update, so I deleted that function. And I have this game object cactus prefab, which is used to instantiate at some position. I'll share this code. Collab it as well as in the chat also. I'll share at both places.
Or if you upload it in the GitHub, then no one can edit it.
GitHub upload is not that fast. It takes some time. I'll put the code everywhere, like
Okay, sir.
here also and in the chat. You can take it from here. And I'll put this link also. Okay, I'll come back in 5 minutes. Meanwhile, write this spawn manager, which creates one cactus after every 2 seconds. Okay, guys, we'll go ahead. So the question was, how do I spawn multiple or different cactus, not only single cactus? So one option is I can drag and drop the 3 small, then it will keep on spawning the 3 small cactus.
Sir, should we tag the dinosaur also, sir?
You can do that. That is not required for now.
Sir, what is the use of tagging?
Check the video, last class video.
Okay, sir.
So now it spawns only 3 cactus. In the playtime, I can change to 2 small. But okay. Now how to ensure that randomly it produces first sometime 1, sometime 2, sometime 3? How to do that?
So we have to create an animation.
No. Sorry? Animation for what?
So can we do create the animation for 1, 2 and 3 and then add it to the script?
So, or can we do create another script? Another cactus respawner and add another script to it.
Yes, that can be one good option. Not good option, but that can be one option, that I can create 3 cactus spawner. One will be positioned here, second will be somewhere here, third will be somewhere here, one will produce single, second one will produce double, triple and
Yes,
all.
sir.
These can do what I can do, that if somehow when I'm calling this function, if I can provide maybe randomly create single at one sometime, create doubles another time, or third sometimes, some way if during playtime I can provide random cactus like cactus 1, cactus 2, cactus 3, something like that. So how to take cactus 1, cactus 2? So I'll cactus prefab 1, 2, 3. So now I have taken cactus prefab 1, cactus prefab 2, cactus prefab 3. So I have 3 prefabs. Save the code. And now you can see that it has 3 spaces. I can put all the 3 here. Now somehow in the code, if I can say that produce like out of these 3, take any random. Not only take the first one, don't only always create the first one, take any random. Like while creating, decide that whether should I create this one or this one or this one. Like randomly choose anyone and then create it. Then again after 2 seconds, randomly choose anyone and then create it. So if we can
using this option, it will not repeat, no sir.
But in this case we can see that we have fixed it to use only first one. So yes, it will not do that. First of all, so we have two problems here. Now you can see that I have created 3 variables for cactus 1, 2, and 3, but these are small cactuses. In our game, we'll have large cactus as well. For that, we have a sprite, which I will choose multiple. It also flies automatic. Automatic has created these 3. I'll resize them first. Second and third. And third, apply and close. So now we have these also. These are large cactus, and this is also used in the real game. So we will have six different cactuses. So what should I do? Should I keep on copying, pasting, like, or creating new variables for each cactus, or is there any smarter way? So yes, in coding, to store similar kind of object, there is a smart way to store similar kind of repeating objects. So we have same kind of objects, but it is more than one. It is not only 1 or 2, it is like many. In case it is 6, it might happen that I may have 10 or 100 or thousands of cactuses, different types. In this game it is not, but it might happen. So to store similar kind of objects, we don't keep on creating new variable for each one. You can see that I've kept the name also almost similar. Cactus prefab 1, 2, only 1, 2, 3, 4 I've added. So to store similar kind of object, coding, all the coding has a concept called array or list. And in array or list, we store similar kind of object. So how do we do that? So first of all, the syntax is you put this bracket. This bracket says that this is not a single object, this is a list of object. So first thing that we do is we put the bracket, and this bracket says this is not a single object, this is list of object. And accordingly, I will rename this. I will not call this cactus prefab, I'll call it cactus prefabs. I have added S for the plural because it is not a single object now, it will be a list of objects. Okay, now when I save this code, and in the Unity, when it will load, okay, again I
Sir, the code should show error, no sir, because you have written in the you have written cactus prefabs, and here you have written cactus prefab.
Yeah, so it has an error, and today I don't know my Visual Studio is not working properly, so it is not showing any error. But this Unity didn't load it, and so I commented out this line code just to avoid this error. And now this game has loaded. Now if you see that in case of Cactus prefabs, it has this something has changed. We cannot assign this prefab here, so something has changed. Now I'll expand it. So it asks for size. So I told you earlier it was a single object, but now it has become list of objects, list of game objects. So by adding this thing, these bracket, I have made it a list. Instead of single object, I have made it a list of object. And in the editor, it is asking what is the size of your list. So in my case, I'll give the size as 3. As soon as I give the size 3 and hit somewhere outside, click the mouse outside or maybe hit enter button, it has created 3 elements, element 0, element 1, element 2, which all of them are asking for some game object. Now I can assign these game objects in this. So now Cactus prefab is not a single object, it is a list. And once we give the size, I have given 3 size, so it created 3 elements, space for 3 elements, and assigned these 3 elements here. And so this is the list. Now how to use a list? How to use a list? So
Can you show again how you assign the cactus?
drag and drop. So okay, maybe I will rename it to like this Cactus prefab list. I have renamed it to Cactus prefab list. And again, so this is how it will come. When the game will load, this is how it will come. When you expand it, so it will ask you the size. It will ask you the size. So size, I can maybe I'll give the size 2. And when I hit somewhere outside or hit enter button, so it will expand and it will ask for, so it will create a space for 2 elements, 0 and 1. And here you can assign drag and drop elements. So when you add these brackets, this is just a variable name, so you can keep anything. Variable name is XYZ, ABCD, and whatever you want to. I keep meaningful names so that you can read it and understand it better. So important thing here, what we did is we added these 2 brackets, and with this bracket now, this is a single variable with a list of variable or list of game objects.
Sir,
And the editor also, yeah.
Sir, in coding, sir, how can we use cactus prefab list, sir? So how can we use language?
I'm coming to that. So this is the list. This is how I created the list, and also in the game editor, since it was a public variable, so I initialize the list with the size 2. The list size is 2, and I have attached 2 elements, 2 prefab game object in this list. Now how to use it in our game? So to access the first element in the list, which is this item, to access the first element in the list, what we do is we use the name and use the brackets, again the same bracket, and inside the bracket we give the which element we want to use. If we want to use first element, we give the number 0. If we want to use second element, then we give the number 1. So it starts from 0. So first element, if you want to use, you have to give the number 0. If you want to use second element, you have to give the number 1. If you want to use third element, you have to give number 2. But unfortunately, in our case, there is no third element. So if there is no third element, we should not use 2. If we use 2, game will crash. Our game will throw some error, and it will say that you are going out of index. So now I'll change my code, and again, comment out this part also. So create cactus, it has a code, and what it does, it use the first element from the list. Let me play the game and see what happens. So to store similar kind of object, we use list or array. And how do we create a list variable? By adding these two brackets. This way we create a list variable. And in the Unity editor, we assign list elements. And how to use it? By using the indexes 0 for first, 1 for second, 1 for second, and 2 for third. In our case, there is no third. Okay, so I have changed the code to use the list. We'll see what happens. So after 5 seconds, first cactus came, and this is our element is 0, which is single small cactus. If I change this, instead of using
instantiating one object only.
And instead of 0, if I use the first one, first index first means element 2, which is 2 small cactus. We'll come to that. We'll fix that problem. Let's understand this part first. So after 5 seconds, it will produce the 2 small cactus object, or the second element. It is now creating the second element. If I do this, using this means I'm accessing third element, but there is no third element. So my code should fail, crash, whatever will happen. Let's see what happens. And okay, after 5 seconds, it should fail, because after 5 seconds, my function is called. So okay, we can see that there's some error in the bottom. It says index out of range, and after every 2 seconds, it will throw this error. After every 2 seconds, because after every 2 seconds, my function is being called. I'll clear and so after 5 seconds, it will start creating, and after every 2 seconds, it will call my function, and I will get this error. These are called runtime error. Runtime error means when you're playing the game, then the error comes. So second element. So what I'll do, I'll change this to 3. As soon as I change to 3 and hit enter button, a new element is created, which is element 0. Element 1 was there. Element 2 is created, and it copies the first element before it. So I'll put this thing. So now the size is 3, and second will refer the third. So this time if I play the game, this error should not come. So after 5 seconds, it will spawn this cactus. So this cactus came after 5 seconds. And in 2 seconds, it will repeat it. Okay, so this way, we can use the list. And in the list, we can store object of same type. So for cactus, I created a list, and in this, I'm storing all the cactus. And how to access elements of this list? By putting this bracket and using 0 for first element, 1 for second element, third element. Now the question was how to spawn random, like how to choose anyone in the list. So for that, we need any random number. Like every time when this function is called, we need a random number between 0 to 2. Anything between 0 to 2. So what I'll do, I'll use my famous thing, debug.log, and in this list has a property. Every list has a property which is called every list has a property called length, and length will give the number of elements in this list, which we can see from here also. This number is 3, but we can get the same thing in the code as well. List is so after 5 seconds, that function will be called, and it will print this, the size of the list, which is cactus. So Every list element has this property, has this field length. So it starts printing list size is 3, and after every 2 seconds it will print this thing. Okay, so this way we get the list size of the.
Sir, did you use debug.log, sir?
Yes, I am using debug.log to print some log message. Again, I'll comment it out. Now, so what we need to do is at the time of creating a new prefab, we want to get a random number from 0 to 2, like greater than equal to 0 and less than equals to 3, or the length of the list. In this case, it is 3, but later I will make it 6. So we want to get a number from 0, anything between 0 or 1 or 2, or later it will be 3, 4, or 5 as well. So how to get it? So for that, I'll create a variable random int. You can give any name to it, XYZ ABCD, but I give a better, more readable name. In Unity, there's a special function which can help you get a random number. What is the function name? Random. And the function name. Okay, I'm forgetting the function name. Yeah, I forgot the function name, so I'll Google it. I will have this thing in my notes, but random int Unity. Random dot range. Okay, so I was kind of doing correct. Random dot range. Random range deprecated. This is the function. So this is the function random dot range, and this function can give you a random integer. You have to provide what is the minimum integer you want and what is the maximum integer you want. So minimum we want 0, and maximum, which is maximum, it's inclusive. Max inclusive float. If I use integer, max inclusive. So we want a integer from 0 and it should be less than 3. So this is the function which will give you a random number between 0 and 3, including 0 but not including 3. So this will give you a random integer. What I'll do, I'll just put it in debug.log. And int value is, after that I'll print this thing random int. So this is a function which will give you a random number. Every time you call this function, it will give you a random number from 0 and anything from 0 till 3, excluding 3. And then I'll call this function. And here, instead of using a hard-coded value, which was 0, 1, 2, instead of that, I will use this variable value, random int. I hope I'm not missing any semicolons. Okay. Now, if you will see, it should produce random cactus, not the same cactus every time. So after 5 seconds, it will start producing. So the first time, these 3 cactus came. Then cactus 2, cactus 1, cactus 1, cactus 3, cactus 3 again. And also, if you see that random integer value is, so first time this random function has given a value 2, then value 1, then value 0, 2, 2, 2. So this random function will give you numbers from 0 till 3, but excluding 3. So it will produce a number from 0, 1, 2. So out of 0, 1, 2, it will keep on producing one number randomly. Every time you call it, it can give you any number. And using that, I'm getting a random number, and based on that, that random element is being accessed. One more thing. 0 is the starting point because we know the 0 is the first element. This is the second element. But for this thing, instead of 3, I will use Cactus prefab list dot length, because length will give me the length of the list, which is 3 in this case. If you keep it 2, it will be 2. So this is lot of code, or maybe lots of new concept. Any question you guys have? You can ask now or
Sir, the random dot range, it should be 0, 2, no sir?
So this function, what it does, if you read it, so it returns a random integer number between min inclusive. Min inclusive means it will include whatever minimum value you give. So min inclusive means it will include the minimum number. So it will include 0, but max exclusive. So it doesn't include the max number. So if you give 2 as the max value, then it will not include 2. So it will only produce 0 or 1, 0 or 1, 0 or 1.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Clear. Max is exclusive for integer.
Sir, when we die in when we die in our game, so sir, it comes a replay button. So sir, can we make it in an app and so include and so import it in Unity?
Yeah, that's the plan. We will do everything. All these things will come maybe today if the time permits. Yes, I think it should come today only. That's the plan. So yeah, that will come. Like later point, you should not worry. Whatever should come later. If you have questions around this, please let me know. That will come. Don't worry about that.
Sir, can you send a code on the Cola bit?
Yeah, I will send it now. Any question like to understand this thing? Okay, just write it and maybe run it. You will get better idea. I'll put the code. I'll create a new one. Meanwhile, I'll put it into the chat. Maybe the size is large. I don't know. It is not aligned with the these are paste. Okay, I put the code, and also you can refer this thing. Okay, so this almost makes the game. Now we will work on the next part, which is first restart button, or maybe how to add a score in the game, how to show a score in the game, and
Back canvas.
so there is something called in Unity. You have lots of options in the create part. You have lots of options. One of these options are UI, where you have text, you have image, you have buttons, and many more things. Let me add text. So as soon as I added a text, you can see some new boxes added, and I added a text UI, but it new game.
Sir, can you repeat?
Okay. We'll do one thing. First of all, we'll delete everything. This thing is done for everyone. Cactus spawn manager.
Yes, sir.
Anyone who is left?
No, sir.
Okay. So what we are going to do now, we'll learn about how to add game over or restart and all those things. So for that, what I will do is I'll go on GitHub first. GitHub Newstein coding for kids. Flappy Bird resources, images. I had created this button, which is I'm not able to see. Okay, restart. Just some normal text. I will download this image. PNG. Okay. In the sprites, I will drag and drop this image. Restart. Okay. Should I add some color to it? Okay, we'll check it. So we want to add restart button, or maybe you want to add scores and all those things. So for that, Unity has something called UI, and in the UI, if right click, and you will get this UI option, and lots of options are there. We'll first check this text option, and as soon as we edit text, lots of things are added. First is event system, second is canvas, and inside the canvas, a text object is added. I'll rename it to a score. Event system, this is something that Unity uses, so you can ignore it. All the UI related object will be created inside canvas. The canvas object is parent object is created, and inside this all the
Sir, can you show
Sir, what is the full form of UI?
user
Event system.
event system. So everything in Unity is kind of an event. Like you press some button, whatever you do is an event.
Sir,
Uh-huh.
what is the full form of UI?
User interface. UI is user interface. So when I added this score, text field, so somewhere in the bottom we can see it says new text. In the bottom, this very small. I change it to a score, and in this text field, you have a text box which says text, new text. I'll change it to a score, and I'll make it maybe 100. The size is very small, not visible, much visible. Maybe I'll change it to 50. 50. It went out of the box. 15 is visible. 20 is also visible. 30 is out of the scene. 25 is visible. Okay, we'll go in deep, but this was my text, and I changed this text to score.100. Line spacing, rich text, font size 25. This was the.
Sir, but in games, the score is repeatedly changing.
Yes.
Look for it.
Sir, how you change it? Score 100.
So in the text, first of all, I added a UI element text, and then I changed the name to a score. By default, the name is text, so I change it to a score. In the text field, you have a text box, this box, and where it has written by default new text. I change it to a score colon 100. Also alignment, it was left aligned. I change it to center aligned. And so these are some things that you can play along if you want to. Align by geometry. I don't know what all these things are. Maybe I know, but okay. So someone asked this question. So in game, score always changes. It is not 100 all the time. Yeah, we'll see that. We'll learn that part. I'm just playing around with whatever came here. this what do I call, multiple squares are there, some target, maybe target point. So if I press on this button, so it opens up this thing, and then when I click alt button, first I'll click on this thing, and when I press the alt button, then we can see lots of alignments like top left alignment. This is top left alignment. This is bottom left. I'll select this one, which is top and right alignment. And now my text went to this position, like top and right. So again, we'll see. Click on this thing and then press the alt button. As you press alt button, you will see all these options. This is top, bottom. This is left. So I'll put it here somewhere. So I'll select top, right. Okay, so I have this text field which I renamed to score. I change the text to text score 100, and some alignments I changed, and I changed its position. One important thing that you can notice, but we'll not discuss more here. In case of all the game objects, you will find one component which is transform. In case of UI, there is no transform. You have a rect transform. What it is, maybe we'll learn later. And when you click on this, you will get this option. Press the hold the alt button, then you can move it somewhere wherever you want to. Okay, this much I have done, but the score I will not use. So for now, I will disable it. I disabled it from here, made it inactive. Now I will add another UI component, which is image. So when I added image, it came on, it is added as child object of the canvas with the name image. We see something here.
Sir, you will add restart in it.
So we see something here. If I make it small, you will see a very large box. This large box. This is our game scene. We have our dino here. And this is a very large scene, and inside that we have some image added here, which is coming at the bottom. So I'll call it restart button. Restart image. Yes, so this is my restart image, and since this is a restart image, so it has a component called image which has a source image, and in the source image I will add my restart image. So this is my restart image. I'll change the color from here. White I don't like. Restart red. Looks better. At least visible. Position wise, I will put it again. Click on this and then hold the Alt button and put it on center, middle, and center. So center. Okay. It has lots of properties. Position. So that transform position, width, and height. Maybe width I'll make it 200. How about 300? That's better. Height 100. It's fine. Okay. What else? So I have added this button. Now if I play the game, so this restart will always be there in the screen, which shouldn't be the case. So I had added a score which I'm not using, so I have disabled it. I added a restart image button, but it is continuously on the screen, which is irritating. So what I will do, I will disable this also. And instead of 5 seconds, this is coming from 5 seconds. So instead of 5 seconds, I will make it maybe 1 second. After 1 second, after starting my game, after 1 second, it will start producing cactus instead of waiting for 3 seconds. Now the game is over. And at this point of time, when the game is over, at this point of time, we want to show this restart image. So how to do that? So very simple. We will use the same concept, this enable and disable thing. I will reposition to somewhere else. Is this the right position? Restart, no.
So we cannot move by the move tool.
Move tool, yes, we can move it. I'll use that only. I'll use that now. So position y somewhere at 100. Okay, maybe this is better at least, not on this horizontal line. Okay, so I in the position it has a x and y position, so I moved it. Now this should be disabled by default, but when the game is over, this should be enabled. So how to do that? So every game object has a property, and that property is called, has a function which can be used to make it active or inactive. So we'll do that. We'll go to our player script, and in the player script, when the game is over, then we should make that image object active. So how to do that? For that, I'll create a public variable, public game object. I'll call it a restart button.
So I think we can do it by adding it in the else part.
Which is what I'll do. So in the else part where we had this game over thing, after playing the sound, I will do restart button dot set active. So this is the function which all the game object has, and set active, if you set it to true, this means you are setting this to true or checking this box. So restart button, I have created a public variable. I will assign it from the Unity, and when the game is over, I will set it active. Okay, set active. So by default, this is false. Now in my player script, there is another public variable. Again, I think it has some error. That's why it has not refreshed. What error? What did I miss? What do I miss? Semicolon. I have restart button. Okay, this is not saved. Save it. Restart button and set active. This is the function, and in this function I will pass true. True to make it active, false to make it inactive. Now in this player script we have this button, we have this public field, and what I'll do, I'll just drag this thing and drop it. That is it. Play the game. And now if the game is over, we can see this restart button. And you can see that this is now active, and also in the check.
Sir, does that button work also for reloading?
Sorry? Your voice was not.
Does that button work also for reloading scene?
Yes, it works for reloading as well. So you can see that when we started the game, it was inactive, and once the game is over, we'll play again. So you can see that initially this is inactive. This checkbox is gone, but when we play the game and when it hit the cactus, you can see that this is inactive, and as soon as it hit, it became active. So from the code we made it active. But now this button is not working. If I press this restart button, the game is not restarting. So how to do that? So for that, on this image we can add some property so that when we click on this button, something will happen. So how to do that? We'll come to that. First of all, do this thing. So what you guys need to do, very simple. Right click, add a image, and inside the image, reposition it to click on this thing, then click the Alt button, then maybe center position. I have kept it at center position, and also change the Y position. After that, in the image source, I have put this restart button in the image source and kept the color as red. And then I modified the script, pair script, to have a new one more variable, which is restart button. And when the game is over, I'm setting it to active. So do this thing. I'll put this code on collab edit. Share with the link as well. So we can set these things active and inactive from the game also. In the game player script, I am going to write one method, void restart game. And in this, what I'll do three things. Whatever I have done in the game over, I will do the opposite of it. So what I'll do, I'll set time scale is equals to 1 again. So time scale, control X. I'll make this 1. This thing, I'll make it false. Whatever I've done in the game over, I'll do opposite in the restart. And the third and last most important thing is I will reload the entire scene. Now how to reload the entire scene? So for that we have something called scene manager, Unity engine. So we have something called scene manager, and using scene manager we start scene manager dot load scene. So I have created a function restart game. In this, what I did, I set the time scale back to 1. So we stopped the time in game over part. I can do one more thing. I'll do it.
Sir, at the top, sir, we also write scene manager, na? Sir, when we have to reload the scene. Sir, with the Unity engine using one.
So this line you have to add. I'll give you this script. I'll also put this line now in the comment. In the chat, I put this line. So we have to add this line using Unity engine.scene management. And by that, we get the scene manager and load scene. So we reload the scene. To restart the game, we reload the scene. But before reloading the scene, we just do few things like time scale. We set back to 1. And this thing you may or you may not do this. You can ignore because reload will do the same thing. Okay, what I have created another function game over, and I'll move entire thing Control X to game over, and from here I'll call this function over. So whatever things were written in the else part, I moved this in a function game over function, and I'll call that function so that it will look more clear. And there's another function which is restart game that I created, and in this I have written opposite of whatever I had in this. And at the end I reload the game, so everything will start from 0.
So what is the 0 in the load scene?
So this I will explain for now. Let it as it is. I will explain maybe in the later classes. We'll explain this part, what it is, zero and all those things. So for now we have only one scene. So you can say that we are loading that scene only. If we have more than one scene, then it will be something different. So we'll see later this thing. So what I did, I just moved whatever code I had in the else part, which is game over part, and I moved it to a function called game over, moved all the code, and I created a new function which is restart game, where I'm doing the opposite of what I did in the game over. And last thing I'm doing extra thing, which is reloading the scene, the same scene. You can give the name of the scene also, which was what is the scene name? Sample scene. So you can give the scene name also, the scene that we want to reload. So you can give this name also, or you can will give, or you can give
Spelling is wrong.
scene. Now it is correct, I think.
Sir, space is there. PLE.
No, there is no space. But to avoid all the confusion, just keep it zero. Okay. So we have created this restart button. Now, when to call that function? When we hit the restart button, how to call that function? So for that, on this restart image. So first I added a score, which was a text field, which was a UI text field, and after that I added a image, which is this restart image. And in the image source, we added this image, changed the color to red. And now in this image itself, I'm adding a component which is button component. And on this button component, you have some section which is on click, and it says list is empty. I'll hit this plus button, and when you add this plus button, you get something like this, which has object something. What I'll do, in the player, on this player object, we have this script player script attached, and on this player script we have this function restart game. So what I'll do, I'll drag and drop this player, and as soon as I dropped it, here it shows all the functions that I have available. So on this player object, it has lots of component. One of the component is player script, and in the player script, lots of functions are defined. And one function is something is wrong. Object, transform. Okay. I forgot something. How do you source now?
Sir, it might be not saved.
Yes, sir.
Drag this button again. Runtime only. No function. Transform. Try to enter animator here. Okay, got it. To make this function visible in the editor, it has to be public. So none of the functions are public. So these variables are visible in the editor only when they are public. Same goes for the function. So none of the functions are public, so none of them were showing. I made this function public, so now I will be able to see it. So if I go to player now, I can see this function restart game. So now what I have done, I added a button component in this image, restart image, and then in this list was empty. I hit on this plus button and I dragged and dropped the player object. So all the functionality that this player object is showing here, which is lots of functionality, on that there's a script which is player script, and I made the function public, restart game public, so it is also visible here. So I have binded this function restart game function. I have binded to this restart game image. Click highlighted color, so you can change the color also. When you press on it, it can change the color if you want to, if you set all these things. So we'll ignore for now. Just play the game and see how restart is working or not. Okay, now restart is active, and when I so it has restarted.
So can you say how you attach that to the restart image?
One more thing, if you click anywhere else, if you click, it will not
Sir, in the T.Rex game, first it was coming game over, and there was a second button in the underneath it. So, sir, we can make that button in it.
in T.Rex game there is no two buttons. You just have to press the space button. So restart.
Sir, this one button.
So you can do both of the things you can do. In this thing, what I can do is I might create an empty game object, and I call it game over. Okay, and in the game over, I will drag and drop this thing. I'll enable it, and I will disable the entire thing. So game over, I have added this restart, and maybe I'll add one more text. I'll add it. I can add another image, which will be game over image. Image source. Do I have any source here? Equal source. No. Game over. I can download it from here as well. Game over. There's no game over. Okay, so instead of this image, I'll add a delete. I'll delete a text. So, but you can, if you get a game over, like you can get a game over image, and that you can add. For now, I'll just add it.
Sir, by Google, you can add it.
You can draw it like this restart image. I have drawn it, like I've just written it somewhere and then copied the image. Game over text. I'll have this, and in this I'll write game over, and where it is. The size I'll keep 25. Don't know where it is. I'll put it on center. Let me first enable it so that I can see it. Enable. This text button is coming down. I can move it a bit up. So instead of text field, you can add another image. You can also resize it, make it smaller. You know, these things you can play around for sure. Something game over. What else? Okay, for now I'll keep it like this only. On this button, I have attached this thing. Now, in the player script, restart button, it will be entire game over object. So instead of this, so because now we will be making this object active and inactive. Instead of this button itself, the entire this entire thing should be made active or inactive. So In the player script, I am adding this thing, this entire game over object, not only one image, because both the things should come. So I will drag and drop this entire game over object. So this thing you should ensure, because this entire thing is we are making active or inactive. Earlier we were making only one button active or inactive. Okay, we'll play the game. Everything should work now as expected. One more thing, guys, to install this game on Android, or to run to make a build on PC also.
Sir, sir, I tried to work it on mobile. So I downloaded Unity Remote 5, and when I was doing that, so sir, it said that you have to download a 2020 version. And sir, I was doing all the stuff in that only. So sir, I deleted that, and sir, one more time downloaded, but sir, it was not working then also.
Yeah, so this remote thing has never worked for me also, so I don't try that. Secondly, to make the APK or to make the app out of this game, I have created a video. I'll upload it today by 4 o'clock. I'll try to upload it by 4 o'clock today. So we can follow that video to create Android apps and also PC application also, like Mac application or Windows application. So that you can check that.
Play Store.
Sorry?
Sir, Play Store.
Play Store will come later, because Play Store requires some registration, and also it asks for some payment, some initial payment it asks at the time of registration. Play Store does ask. So that will come later, because everything we are doing for free for now, and registration has some setup process. So we'll do that later. So for now, you have to install it by hitting. You can, like, in the video I'll show you everything, like how to install it. Just download like I created the file app on the PC and then transferred on my phone using Bluetooth, and then I just tap on this APK, it will install. Okay, guys. Any question you have, or I'll provide the video.
Sir, 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 will that public be available on void restart game? Because it is telling in.
It has to be public. Yes, it should be public.
So because red underline is there.
You are doing something wrong. I'll just put the code. I have put this code at the same place that I cleared, and also I'll put it on GitHub. Something you must have done wrong. Okay, so I'll provide the video for everything, and first I'll share the video for creating the apps and installing the app. Okay, guys. Bye bye.
Bye, sir.